What is up, guys? Time to go over the best champions in 6.8. Stuff is really starting to shift around a bit, like new Tarek is out and there have been a lot of nerfs recently. I'm thinking of doing a top 5 for every single role next patch when the big changes come out, you know, the mid-season 6.9. So if you guys want to see that, then hit the like button and let me know. Dislike this if you don't though, but let's jump in. Now we're going to start with the jungle just because Kindred is absolutely 100% busted this patch. Other carry junglers have been nerfed recently, okay? Other Devourer junglers have been nerfed recently. Kindred is a bit of both and hasn't been touched at all. First off, the damage is insane. Even early you do a bunch, and as the game gets later and later you start to do more and more. Your passive is a really big part of that. Throw in the Devourer and Runin's combo and suddenly you're applying all of that bonus damage to everyone. Your clear speed is good, ganks are great, you have a slow, you have good mobility, and your ultimate can be game changing, honestly. You'll build like a more of Malmortius and Asterix most likely anyway, so you're already hard to kill, and then you pop that ult and last even longer. What I've seen is a lot of people actually just panic and they run out of the ult anyway and let you kill them. Even if they stay, you now have a decent chance of picking up the kill, or at least your team does. Overall, Kindred is just a monster carry champion right now. Insane damage, good mobility, and a seriously amazing late game and team fight. For our second spot, we could have either Volibear here if we need a tank, or we can have Nidalee if we want another carry option. I've talked a lot about Volley in my recent video, so we're actually going to go into Nid this time around, but Volley is still really good. Nidalee got that nerf a few patches ago where she can't root monsters anymore, and it was kind of more of a deterrent than anything else. You do take a bit more damage on your first clear especially, but everything that made Nidalee a top pick is still true. Still amazing ganks, amazing burst, and poke damage all rolled into one insanely mobile pick. A good Nidalee can win an entire game by herself, that is still true now. A bad one can ruin a whole game by herself and do nothing. She's a bit more of a risky pick, I think, but if you practice her, then you can have consistently high impact in the game and carry early, mid, and late, so that is why she's here. Volley is definitely the safe option though. Like if you're not too comfortable in the jungle, just pick Volley. Better tanky, damage, good ganks, and a good team fight. If you want a safer, high impact jungler, Volley is definitely the best one for that. So mid lane is going to be next, and Ahri is the top tier mid laner again at the moment. What a surprise. Super safe, high damage, but we have heard enough about her recently, I think. So let's take the second and third best instead. I think that's more useful for this video. Malzahar is our second spot. Super high damage, high pressure mid that just pushes and is very hard to deal with. You're going to struggle to fight him because he can use his E and ult to lock you down. He builds semi-tanky with that Rod of Ages, plus the fact it's hard to fight when you're sat under your tower all game with his pushing. I do feel a bit sorry for this guy, really. He finally becomes top tier and Riot decide to rework him next patch. He still looks really strong actually, but come on, he waited like years for the spotlight and now they're going to take it away. Your lane phase is definitely the strongest point at the moment in this patch, like really punishing to play against and hard to deal with 1v1. In team fights you do have the lockdown and a good damage, but as we move more into tanks that becomes a little less useful. Really, like it's still good, but it's not the same effect as locking down a Zed to blow him up. Now Anivia is our third spot. This bird is so strong at the moment. Your lane phase is actually pretty decent if you can hit that stun. It's not the easiest thing to do ever. It moves like 2 miles an hour, but the double damage from it is insane combined with your E. Literally, it will take off half of someone's health easily. I say this a lot every time I talk about Anivia, the double damage. If you aren't sure what I mean, it actually does damage when it passes on them the first time, and when it goes past them for a second time, you can blow it up. So if it hits them and then it goes past them and you blow it up, it'll do double damage. Anivia is pretty straightforward to play, but there are a lot of extra things you can do to become even better at her as well. Her egg gives you a bit more safety in lane, lets you take more risks, and in team fights you can honestly one-shot the AD carry almost. Your E does well over 1,000 damage with only 3 items. That is the other thing as well. As the meta slows down and there are less assassins and stuff, we can go back to getting a tier and Rod of Ages. Double stacking is risky and it takes time, but it pays off with way more damage mid-game. So our third role is going to be support. I hope the one support main that watches this video is happy. I even put you above my main role this time. If any of you watch my stream, you know that Soraka tilts me so hard. Playing against her is 100% no fun and the most boring thing ever. You can't trade, you can't fight, you're basically punished for wanting to be proactive and forced to just play really passively and farm. You can focus her and you can kill her, that is pretty much your only option, but if you go for her and focus her, then her AD carry is going to be hitting you for free the entire time. Not the best idea either. She has one of the highest win rates in the game at the moment, like across every single role, it's ridiculous. She's easy to play, very high impact, and there isn't really too much to say, honestly. She is just the best all-around support by far. Now, actually, one answer to Soraka that I've been trying out is the new Taric, so let's go into him. Taric is seriously strong if you know how to play him, if you use his ult correctly at the right times, if you stun correctly with your AD carry. What I found is he's definitely best paired with someone a little bit more aggressive, and if they have a gap closer or a dash or something, that's even better, who can use the stun as well. Like, the dream for you is you to stun the support with your channel and the AD to stun the enemy AD. Both are going to be stunned with this, and it gives you time to damage them for free. Like, his ult is completely busted too. I have no idea what Riot were thinking with that one. When you go for a big fight, right, he can just use that at the start and suddenly you can't be damaged. Like, if you stun while it's channeling, then by the time the stun wears off, you're invulnerable with your ult. So that's the stun duration plus ult duration where they can't do anything and you can damage them for free. It's basically like saying to your enemy AD carry, okay, we can have a fight, but you have to stand there for 3 seconds before you can hit me back. That sounds fair, right? We might as well stay in the bot lane for AD carries, and ADs are being thrown around so much at the moment. Honestly, this is always kind of happens when we're in the middle of a shift between damage picks and tanks. The overall best just for every situation is still going to be Jhin, but let me just point out, okay, if you suck with this guy, practice him a bit in normals. You can't just pick him and expect to win. He doesn't work like that. His ultimate is definitely one of the most broken things in the game at the moment. It does so much damage anyway, then you add on Deathfire and you can actually kill people without even using an auto attack. That is not how AD carries are supposed to work. Jhin is a weird mix between ability based and an auto attack champion just because of how his kit works. Attack speed and crit get turned into AD, making his autos and abilities actually really hurt way more than normal ADs, but the trade-off is the reload mechanic. This is where your kind of passive mobility comes in more. You auto crit, run around, and then go back in after you've reloaded. His W is an amazing catch tool. It can set up a lot of fights mid-game. His ultimate can do the same. It can snipe people in fights when it isn't safe to go in yet, and his autos actually crush squishy targets. I am going to say at lower ranks he might not be the best just because he's different. He's more awkward of a style, I guess, to play, but he is an actual monster. Now, this second spot is weird because it could be loads of different things. Tristana, Ashe, Twitch, kog'maw, Sivir, all of these guys have a really solid win rate right now. And you can see from these, we're caring less about the lane phase now and more into the mid game. We're actually going to talk about kog'maw this time round. I know like every time I talk about him, people say don't pick him at lower elo, but that just is not true at the moment. His kit is designed to wreck tanks. That is what we have right now. His Rageblade build makes him spike harder mid game than before, which is where we're fighting more now. And his weakness is in the lane phase, which we care less about now. All of these things just make the perfect environment for a kog'maw pick. Like, we can chill in lane, we can farm up. Lower ranks are going to be worse at punishing a weak lane anyway. Then we get our Rageblade, we get our Runers, and we just take over the game. Not many ADs can have that much impact at the moment. So finally, let's go into our top lane picks this patch. Echo did get a nerf, but he's still overall best up there. After the Iceborne nerf and his kind of base damage nerfs, he won't be killing us as quickly anymore, but he still packs a serious punch, and it's just really irritating to deal with. I think that is actually becoming more obvious now, like how hard he is to deal with, because he's not killing you as fast, so you can see the rest of it. But it's like if you ever focus him, he'll last forever and then just ult away when he's close to dying. That is really hard to deal with in a team fight. It gives his team so much of a natural advantage in a fight just because chances are he'll last longer than their front line, and that's normally what fights come down to now. Who can get through the tanks first? He has really good matchups top lane right now. He can beat those tanks or just free farm, but mid game is definitely his power point, and he is a really good carry laner who also builds tanky. This one is more of a pure tank though. Sion is taking a runner-up spot. I mean, this was kind of obvious. You probably saw this coming because he's got a new awesome legendary skin. Riot don't just make legendary skins for bad champions, you know. They aren't dumb, they want to make money. I don't normally put pure tanks on a tier list really because they aren't the highest impact, but Sion is a bit different. He builds full tanks, so he's hard to kill, but he does some decent damage. He has that long range engage, and when he dies he can still output a bit more damage. The best thing with this guy over other tanks is just his game impact though. You can sneak steal a buff at level 1, you can ult down the lanes, you can ult down river, even kill your opponent in lane. You have a lot more options to actively do things to win a game rather than just like Maokai who absorbs damage and hopes his team can carry. We are in a tank meta, it's just how it is right now, but this guy has more carry potential than most, so you can still do a lot and still carry a game. So there we go, my top picks this patch. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, but for now, let's go to the robots.